24H Nürburgring 24 Hours is presented in partnership.
Do we have commercial breaks?
Viper Gaming by Patriot. Leap Gaming. ESTV. And AMD Ryzen Radeon.
The one that I'm controlling seems to be okay at the moment.
Racing for Green is here to help you carbon neutralize your racing. By planting new trees, Racing for Green offers to make your racing carbon neutral. We already have the calculations, contacts, infrastructure, deals and solutions ready for you to easily buy carbon neutral laps on any racetrack. It doesn't matter if you are a racing fan, team owner, driver, sponsor or partner. Anyone can buy CO2 neutral laps in the Racing for Green webshop and trade CO2 emissions for new forest. Racing for Green.
Okay.
A 1v2 for the tournament. Pressure is on.
Yeah, I can't hear you either on the stream. I don't know if they can hear me. Oh, no, I am on the stream. I'm on, but nobody... Well, you're not at least. So, okay. We'll fix it. And, yeah, we'll get underway. But, yeah, welcome, everyone, to practice for the 24 Hours of Nürburgring that's ongoing this weekend here at GTR 24. Looking forward to it, as always. And, yeah, we've got about an hour and a half left of official practice here tonight. And my name's Ewan O'Leary. I'll be joined by Peter Munkholm in a moment, when we can hear him in a moment. But yeah, we're in practice right now, and yeah, gives us a good chance to get a look at all these guys, get a look at all the cars, and kind of get ourselves accustomed to what we're going to be seeing this weekend. And yeah, it should be good if last year's race is anything to go by. It's a special event, not tied to the not tied to any kind of championship. But yeah. This will be a very special event indeed, and yeah, we'll be looking forward to it as we enjoyed last year's race greatly. It was a race won by Burst Esport in the end, and yeah, I believe that they're going to be here to defend their title, although they are not on the server right now. I believe that they'll be here at the very least for the race to try and defend their title here in 2021. But in practice at the moment, we've got just Giuseppe Pastore for Team Shiba by Musto, who's leading. He set the best time as things stand, 8 minutes 4.3, and behind is Zoltan Varkany, who we've seen in the EWC before. And yeah, they're the top two in the standings right now. But practice doesn't really mean too much. I guess it's a good indication of qualifying pace, Peter. Let's have a see. I don't think so. Yeah, so apparently we still can't hear Peter on the stream, although, or at least I couldn't. So hopefully we'll get that sorted soon enough, and we'll be able to have two people on at the very least. But joining me this weekend, other than Peter, who's going to be producing the whole show, doing the cameras and whatnot as normal, alongside me for qualifying tomorrow, which starts at 8 p.m. CET, so 7 for those of you in the UK. Alex Goldschmidt is going to be joining me for 4 hours of action. It's going to be 2 hours for qualifying 1, 2 hours for qualifying 2, with a short 15-minute break in the middle.
You can hear me now?
Can we hear you now? Let's have a look.
I believe so.
Let's hope so.
I think I'm yeah, it's peaking. I can see the audio meters peaking out now. So
we can hear you, which is good news, because we've got our issues out of the way. That's why we're a little bit late, by the way. We've just got a few things to iron out, but obviously the big race starts on Saturday, and we want to get everything as smooth as possible.
I've got some echo from you to figure out where that's coming from.
Yeah, hopefully that can be sorted.
I think it comes from a totally different PC, from a totally different channel, because actually I think I'm getting your audio on this PC as well, and that needs to be turned down, since it's they're all connected, so that should fix the echo problem.
It's not only practice for the drivers, but it's practice for us a little bit as well, because
we moved everything.
Yeah, we have back in the studio. Everything has been moved to not a whole other location, but it has been moved to a different room, and so yeah, it's a bit of an undertaking, really, and quite difficult to actually undertake. So yeah, apologies for those issues, but we're going to iron them out, and we are going to be fully ready for the 24 hours, which kicks off on Saturday, and hopefully all of the issues will be behind us by that point. But yeah, that's why we've just got to do a little bit of TLC now so that we can get everything sorted in time for the race on Saturday, which kicks off, by the way, at midday in Central European time. So you can work that out for your specific time zone, but it's going to be from midday on Saturday to midday on Sunday, and that will be the 24 hours of Nürburgring. This weekend we'll be joined, me and Alex, as I mentioned, will be doing qualifying, and we'll both be joined by Yusuf Bin Zahel in the race. He'll be with us then. So yeah, it's going to be a long night for us three, a long night for everybody with the race. But yeah, we're looking forward to it. It's a real great race to do, and a real great circuit as well. Really enjoyed this race last year, as I mentioned here, Peter. It's good to have it back for another year. Yeah, I guess we'll see what kind of pans out on this occasion. But yeah, we are looking forward to this race this weekend, considering what we saw back in 2020.
Yeah, we tried the best we could to get more classes running on the track, because that is one of the things that makes this race more viewable. Because I think this one is one for the more hardcore fans, because you really, when it's all GT3 cars on track, you will not see much passing. There won't be much lapping either. So it's all down to being able to spot the little things that the really, really great drivers do to control the cars and try to push the cars as fast around this track as they can.
Yeah, absolutely. It's very, very tricky indeed. Just taking on the circuit for 24 hours is difficult enough, but taking on another 20 odd teams, maybe a little bit more than that, throughout the race is going to be exceptionally difficult. Yeah, we saw some great battles last year. I can't remember for the life of me who it was between, but there was a great fight with about 12 hours to go, just as night was falling. It was getting towards midnight, and it was just completely swinging fists at each other for a very long time, and it was fantastic to watch at that moment. Yeah, a very enjoyable battle to see in that one. And yeah, hopefully we'll be seeing some of the same here today, as I've just witnessed Douche's Motorsport Club off of the road. Yeah. In that car at the moment, backing it into the wall, trying to get going again in the BMW, which is rather large, as you've noticed. Yeah, loads of different cars here this week. We've seen in the EWC, we've only got the McLaren, Aston Martin, the Mercedes has one entry as well, but there's a lot more variety here this weekend, which I'm looking forward to seeing how all the different cars get on. Really, we've got Audis, BMWs, McLarens, and all kinds of different cars on the start list this weekend. So yeah, I'll be interested to see how those cars kind of match up around this circuit. I guess there's going to be strong points and weaknesses throughout the circuit because it's so long. There's going to be a lot of toing and froing throughout even a lap around here, which is going to be very intriguing to find out who's best where and who's faster in what zone of the racetrack. Nick Newcomb's reminded me, by the way, that Martin Hemmingsen was one of the drivers involved in the battle. Let's not forget that we had him alongside and sometimes driving at the same time as Casper Henningsen, who's a Burst Esport driver. That wasn't confusing at all. Yeah, it was a little bit of a minefield to get your head around that one, but we got through it. Certainly in the standings right now, I'll get them up on my screen at the very least to show you who's leading here in practice at the moment.
The timing tower seems to get some of the, like when they pass each other for lapping or set, if they're on the server, don't have a time, and someone joins the server afterwards and sets a time before the car that joined before has a time, those two cars will kind of get switched around with names. It's an old bug. We had to revert to an older version of the timing tower and some of the timing data in this. So a lot of the bugs that we already had ironed out is back again, unfortunately, because all of the timing is running in a completely different deprecated format because we couldn't. I think it's a Windows update that has blocked the way that we're using now to send timing data to the web server that kind of makes all of this data available. So sorry for the timing being completely messed up. I don't really think there's anything we could do about it. I can try in my end to kind of turn it off and turn it back on again. Sometimes that fixes it. It does look to have, yeah, everybody's numbers and names are matching again now.
Yeah, as I mentioned, hopefully we'll have those kinds of things sorted, especially for Saturday, but by the end of tonight we should have most of them sorted as well for qualifying, which is going to be very important. I'm presuming, by the way, although I haven't had official confirmation on this, that qualifying is going to be an average of the two qualifying sessions once again, so very similar rules to what we see in the EWC, where we have 2-hour sessions and 2 lap times averaged out to make the grid order for the race. I'm presuming it's going to work the same here for this special event, even though it's a little bit different. I'm presuming those qualifying rules are going to be the same. Yeah,
it is average. Best time average from the 2 sessions. Since it's a big difference between driving day and driving night, I want to make sure that the teams are well prepared. This is an open event, which was open to everyone, as is usually the EC series as well. It's also open to everyone. It doesn't cost anything to participate in any of our races. So just in order to make sure that you're properly prepared, we kind of do this with both the night and day qualifying, and then run long sessions, mostly 2-hour qualifying sessions.
Yes, I actually really enjoy the qualifying format at GTR. It gives you a lot of time to bed yourself into the session, get that right lap time in, and especially when there's traffic involved, like we see in the EWC, it can be very useful. But around here as well, getting a lap time in can be quite difficult. So we'll be seeing a lot of that coming up tomorrow. But for tonight, I guess we can go through a couple of the teams who will be actually participating in the race here this weekend.
Bit of information for the viewer. GTR24h.org/NS24 spotter guide.
Yeah, that'll be useful.
So that's the normal website, GTR24h.org, and then /NS24 spotter guide. That should be the proper address for that one. So if you want to look up the teams, as page 3, that was supposed to be information about the track, is currently showing information about the Sebring track, which is wrong. No one had the time to update that page and put in some historic information about the Nürburgring Nordschleife, but I think we'll do something tomorrow.
Very well known though as well. To be fair, there is a lot of around here, of course, and there's plenty of time to be going over that for the next weekend. Certainly, very very long way around here as well. Very long circuit, over 8-minute lap times, and it's going to be a good, challenging weekend for all of these guys. So while we go through the teams at the moment, it's good to get a spotter guide for us all, because it's very useful for commentators and viewers alike to spot the cars out there and get to know the teams and drivers, etc. That is very useful. Currently leading the session, Team Shiba by Musto, as they were when we came to air, and they're leading by their best lap time, 8 minutes 4.3, which is over 4 seconds ahead of Mugen Sim Racing's Zoltan Varkany, who has set that second best lap time. And Mugen were one of the ones who I selected as kind of a big name for getting up towards the front in this race, maybe even winning it as well, if they're able to manage that. Let's not forget they're driving in the GT3 category in the EWC, so that extra experience may help them a little bit. They've had 3 podiums so far in 2021, no wins to their name as of yet. However, you never really know, and I think that experience is going to count for a lot, really. These GT3 teams are going to be already accustomed to the cars that they're driving with, especially Mugen, who have decided to go for the same car again.
Something I haven't. I didn't think about that, so.
Yeah, they're gonna. Well, yeah, it's just you've already got kind of a baseline setup going on. You know how the car behaves. So I think personally they're going to have those teams who are already in GT3 in other championships on R Factor 2 in EWC, for example, are going to have an advantage, in my opinion.
Certainly. I didn't even consider that we do have teams in here that are both running the GT3 cars in the EBC and in other series as well. So very well spotted there, you and I didn't even think about it, but of course those teams should be at an advantage. It's also teams that do have more experience on this particular track than most of the other teams. I think the drivers of Burstport are some of the guys with most laps on this track. I don't know too many of the other teams too well, but GT3 cars around this track, I think it's some of the best racing that you can have, especially if we could have some of the slower classes, so it would have been real multi-class racing as well. It's just always challenging, and around here that saying that it's not over before the fat lady sings is like, that is really, really predominant here. It never really is over before it's over. You don't know, it could be in the last 5 minutes that people have some horrible crash and kill the engine, or everything's possible around here with barriers. What is it? Most places the barriers about 2 meters, 7-8 feet away from the track.
Not much runoff area. No.
Dangerous.
Very dangerous, yeah. And you're always inches away from disaster around here. No, by no means a street circuit. They're not quite that close to the walls, but they're not too much further away. And it's not like there's tarmac leading up to the walls. It really is just grass and gravel, and not actually that much gravel, to be honest. It's just grass and then a slide into the wall, really. So, it's very, very tricky indeed. But kind of going along the same lines of those who are in the GT3 category for the EWC, and another team who have I've got a half circle around them, metaphorically, for the race here this weekend. It's the two Unison Racing cars. They've actually got two cars in this one. The Unison Racing with the 717 and the 777, both driving Audis for this one. And so, I think the car to watch is going to be the 717 with Max Bunovic, the only Ukrainian on that in an otherwise all-Russian team. They've got Roman Yakubovic as well, who's done great things in the past. I think he got 5 VEC podiums last year or something. It's something ridiculous. He's driving very well at the moment. Anyway, Nikolai Bezrakov, who's very, very quick, and he's been showing how quick he is in the EWC over the last few months, winning a couple of races that team did at Indianapolis and Silverstone, so we know how good they are. And they've also got Kirill Kolobov, also of Russia, and so we've not, I've not heard of him before, but I'm sure that he is a very, very quick driver as well. So I think that's going to be the slightly better car, but the other Unison Racing car is very strong as well. Even though they don't use the Audi in the EWC, they're still going to be very, very accustomed to the class, and they're going to know what they're doing. Certainly.
But the funny thing is, I was looking at the entries for the EVC before the season, and I saw the Unison Racing team. I looked at the names, and I thought, I've seen these names somewhere else, but couldn't quite figure out. And I just had a feeling, guys are quick. These sounds like people I would associate with fast sim racing drivers. So I can't remember where I've seen them or if I've raced with them somewhere, a race department, some racing room stuff. I couldn't remember where I heard the names. I just got that feeling. These guys are fast.
Yeah, exactly.
They are.
Yeah, they really are. They really are very, very quick indeed. Yeah, looking forward to seeing how those guys go this weekend. Currently, the best Unison Racing car is Nikolai Bezrukov, who's in 14th place. Currently 8 minutes 21.9, but just going over the line at the moment actually is Bezrukov, and not sure if he's going any quicker or not. I don't actually think that was a fully timed lap there, so we'll have to wait a little bit longer for another time lap from him, but yeah, certainly going to be one to watch in this one. In terms of other ones to watch this weekend, DISSR Lab are going to be there once again, the number 45 team. They're driving in GTE these days in the EWC, they're not going to have that GT3 experience that we were talking about a moment ago. But that doesn't really matter to them, I don't suspect. They're still very, very quick. They've been in this series for a very, very long time. We know how good they are, and we know how consistent they are. I think consistency is going to count for a lot, and I think they're going to be up there as well, even though that's kind of obvious to say. But no, it's very true. They're going to be up there.
Right after the talk show on Monday, we were debating this, and I said my two favorites, Burst Esport and the 717 from Unison Racing. Those are my two favorites, and then my dark horse is definitely the 45, because they are just usually so consistent, and they're not. If they should win it, it won't be on speed. It would be just plainly avoiding bumps and crashing the car, keeping it on track. And then they are certainly one of the best teams on strategy on the grid. Like, these guys can do racing strategy like no one else. We've seen them gain several positions in the EVC just plainly on driving strategies that either they do stints that are 3-4 laps shorter than all the other guys, and we're sitting there and the commentary guys are sitting there, what are they doing? Why? And then at the end it just all plays out for them, and you see them suddenly catch up 2 or 3 places. It's those guys are amazing guys to follow.
I mean, the fact that this circuit is a little bit different in terms of that, you can save 1 or 2 laps of fuel around a normal circuit, but around a circuit which is 25 kilometers long or whatever it is around here, it's difficult to actually save, or near impossible really, to actually save a lap. So, is the length of the lap actually going to really hinder them in this, because they're not actually able to play those fuel mileage games? There's almost no point saving fuel because you're never going to save a lap anyway. So are they going to be a little bit not disappointed with that, but are they going to be hindered by the fact that they can't really save a lap of fuel anywhere around here? Or is that not going to, are they still going to play the strategy game as we're so accustomed to seeing?
It's a really good question. That's something that I didn't really think about either. The length of the laps, of course. If you want to do 1 lap less to be light on fuel, how much is it going to help you in there's not many really slow corners. There's a lot of fast flowing corners on this track where lower weight certainly is an advantage, but that much of an advantage that it's I really wouldn't know, because if you had to do that, I would have to have been in the car and tested it myself to see what the time differences are, because you can compare it with other drivers and try and look, but then you're comparing amongst drivers, and that doesn't really give a good impression of what gives anyway. So yeah, I don't know.
Going to be hard to work out, certainly, but we're going to enjoy finding out, certainly. But in practice right now, we've still got just over an hour to go in the session right now. So I think that if we can, we're going to take a quick commercial break right now, and then in a couple of minutes we'll be returning once more with a little bit more practice from the GTR 24H Nürburgring 24 hours here in 2021. Back in a moment.
Enjoy, guys.
The GTR 24H Nürburgring 24 Hours is presented in partnership with Viper Gaming by Patreon, Leap Gaming, ESTV, and AMD Ryzen Radeon.
A 1v2 for the tournament. Pressure is on.
Racing for Green is here to help you carbon neutralize your racing. By planting new trees, Racing for Green offers to make your racing carbon neutral. We already have the calculations, contacts, infrastructure, deals and solutions ready for you to easily buy carbon neutral laps on any racetrack. It doesn't matter if you are a racing fan, team owner, driver, sponsor or partner. Anyone can buy CO2 neutral laps in the Racing for Green webshop and trade CO2 emissions for New Forest. Racing for Green.
Guys, here we are once again.
Yeah, welcome back.
Nürburgring Norks live track.
Yeah, welcome back to practice. Just under an hour to go. In official practice, obviously it's kind of open all the time really, but this is official practice where we get to kind of look at everybody and look at where everybody is with regards to pace, but we'll get a better idea tomorrow, and then an even better idea by Saturday when the race gets underway properly for the first time. Saw a couple of issues as we were in the break there. Saw DASSR Lab, the 45 car, going around for a spin at, well, let's try and figure out where this was. I believe that it was just before the kind of downhill right left kind of chicane thing. Verschiffen, there we go, that's the word I was looking for. Verschiffen was where they went for a spin, going downhill just ever so slightly and going around for a spin and hitting to the wall slightly there as well, but yeah, they managed to escape back to the pits and they'll be back out there again shortly. It's one of those teams, let's not forget that it practices and races all from the same location, which is it presents its challenges in itself, and hopefully when we go to the 24 Hours of Le Mans in October, that will be an issue that everybody will have to deal with because they'll all be in the same place, but we'll wait and see on that one. But for the moment, DIS SR Lab are down in 18th position with an 841.3. That's not quite where they want to be, and they'll be up a little bit further throughout the next part. Or throughout the race at least. Definitely not a team that's going to stick it on pole though. As Peter was alluding to, they're definitely going to do something on the strategy in this race to get a good result, but it certainly doesn't mean that they can't get a good result in this one. They're certainly going to be able to, but let's continue on looking up and down the order and looking for teams to watch out for in this one. I'm going to try and find Juice's Motorsport Club, because the number 74 team, I think, I've got one of the best chances at actually winning this race here this weekend. It doesn't seem that they're actually on the circuit at the moment, which is slightly annoying because I can't find them, but anyway, it doesn't really matter too much. We can still talk about them. Deuces Motorsport Club, a team that were third in Le Mans in 2020, third at the Sebring 12 Hours in 2021, just 2 months ago in the EEWC. So yeah, a very, very good team indeed. One of the picks for the race, they got Roy de Munich driving. We've seen a little bit earlier on today, also driving for them, Sabe Kiss, Adam Baldwin, Eric Schmeider, Toon Lower is also on that on the entry list, at least for them for this one. So yeah, a very, very strong team, and one of the only BMWs as well, which is an interesting call. If it turns out to be a great car, as it was last year because it won the race, then it's going to be a stroke of genius. But if it turns out to be not so great, then they might look a little bit silly. But Juice's Motorsport Club certainly another team to watch in this ever-growing field.
So we're sorry, but we're trying to work out why some of the gaming PCs we are not getting images from these, and there's several other things not really working properly. We're trying to figure out what's going on in the background, because we right before we went online with this official practice, everything was working, and then we had other issues, actually from updating a plugin in OBS, which didn't work. John found a guide that told us to delete a file. We deleted that file, and then our stream decks didn't work, so we couldn't change scenes anymore. So we went from the ashen straight into the fire.
Yeah, it was from one issue to another. One step forward and two steps back.
Yeah. Certainly 2 steps back, because it was even worse. We couldn't change scenes at all. I had to, if we were going to race with that, I would have to sit here and manually change scenes with the mouse. And I think, one of the PCs is about 20 scenes, on the other it's close to 50 maybe. So that's just not
not manageable.
No, you can't do it.
No, not for 24 hours.
Certainly not for 24 hours.
So never mind for 2 hours. So it's we'll get, as I mentioned, we'll get all those things ironed out. But Nick Newcomb has just sent me a message, by the way. He's team manager at Deuces Motorsport Club. He was actually on the server not so long ago, but he's not doing any driving this weekend in terms of competitive driving for Deuces Motorsport Club. He says that Eric Schmeider is returning for the 74 after some time away, I'm presuming, and they're very pleased to have him back, and we're pleased to have him back on our screens as well. It'll be good to see Schmeider back out there on the grid, and we'll see how Juice's Motorsport Club run throughout this race. One of the picks for the race, although they're not quite my pick for this race. We'll run through a few more teams, and then we'll get to my pick, I think. We'll run through another one now, another one to watch, in my opinion, another one who have been driving the GT3 races, or in the They've been racing the EWC in the GT3 category. Is what I was trying to say. And as I might have one more thing. Burst. Nick thinks that Burst is going to be my pick, but they're not actually. I'll keep you all in suspense for that one, and I'll get Alex and Yusuf to try to pick one as well before the race gets underway, just so that we can get those predictions in. Another team I want to talk about is the One Move Esports team. Because they've also been driving in the EWC in the GT3 category, and so they're obviously going to have the experience as we were talking about a little bit earlier on. We'll see how they get on. They won the Matsusaka 24 hours in 2020. That was in the LMP2 category, but they won that overall, and they managed to win the Sebring 12 hours in the GT3 category. It was an amazing finish to that race with Mugen Sim Racing having issues at the very first turn very late on. It was a really crazy finish. One Move Esports eventually coming out on top, and that's left them third place in the GT3 points. Nick's reminding me that he was part of that win at Matsusaka. He was a driver.
Of course he is.
Yeah, well, I'd take it as well if I was him, winning a 24-hour race at any level. So, I'd take it as well. There we go. He was part of that victory. So they certainly know how to do it. And it's just a case of whether they can here this weekend. I've already seen Ludovic Darcouy in the YouTube chat, and a hello to him if he is indeed watching still. Obviously giving some support to his team, and we'll see how those guys get on. Certainly a strong EWC team, and there's no reason to suspect that they won't be strong over the next 24 hours this weekend. Nick also reminded me that Guillaume Mas is one of their drivers, and he's very, very quick indeed. One of my favourite names to say on the grid, Guillaume Mas. French driver, I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure he's French anyway. I'm hoping so. And Nick's confirming that to me. I was kind of on the fence between French and Belgian, because they do have they do French speaking in Belgium as well, don't they? There we go. It's an entirely French team actually. The One Move Esports team, apart from Roy Dominic, who is a Dutch driver, and he's very, very quick. He was also part of that victory in the Matsusaka 24 hours. He was meant to be starting that car at the Nürburgring 12 hours in 2020, but unfortunately he overslept and that car didn't start. That was I don't want to keep reminding him of that, but I just did, so I'm sorry. But there we go. It's one of my overriding memories from the Nürburgring race actually last year. I'm sorry about that, but I just had to do it again. There we are. There's the One Move Esports team, very, very strong. Roy Dominic's very, very quick. He put that car on pole on multiple occasions in 2020. Guillaume Mas, as Nick's just alluded to, very, very quick as well. Ludovic Darcouy has been doing great things in the EWC this season so far. He's got help as well from a number of other drivers in that team. So yeah, I think One Move Esports are going to be doing very well this weekend. It's just a case of keeping it on the road for those guys as well. They're going to be very, very quick, but they've just got to keep it on the straight and narrow for 24 hours, and they'll definitely be up there. So looking around. Oh yeah, that's another team. I'm just looking up my notes.
Figure out stuff here. I'm talking with John in the background here as well, trying to sort out images from various PCs.
Yeah, so it's kind of complicated behind the scenes, which is making things difficult. What I will, or who I will look at now, very interesting entry actually from Team Rookie Monsters.
Team Rookie Monsters is back.
This race, yes, they are back, which is great to see for those guys. Good to have them back. I just had them on my screen actually.
Indeed.
I'll get them back up. There they are. Oh no, they're not. There they are. Driving the Corvette. for this race in the 999. Very, very interesting team though, because they've got 5 drivers for this one: Tony Jansen, Robert Pone, Santu Enqvist, Paul Holt, and Chris Gonzalez. Now, we've seen Tony Jansen, Paul Holt, Chris Gonzalez all driving for Fair Racing Team in the past. They're an LMP2 team, but they've certainly got the experience of the Fair Racing Team. They've been right up there. I believe they've had podiums in LMP2 EWC action before. Interesting to see that they're all driving under the Rookie Monsters banner on this occasion. I'm wondering if they're going to be driving under a Fair Racing Team banner once again when we return here for the 12 hours, which is coming up in late June. Yeah, interesting to see those guys driving for Rookie Monsters, but we know how capable they are. They're very, very, very quick team as well.
Certainly. Although, you were saying something about having your pick for victory as well.
Yes.
Rookie Monsters. When you're a good sim racer and you're really good and you do deserve those wins like once in a while, I think that's where Rookie Monsters are. I think some of the faster teams need to do something bad in order for the Rookie Monsters to win, but it will certainly be interesting where they end up in the standings, because they do have really fast drivers, but I think it's the consistency of the lineup that is more of the issue. Certainly Chris Gonzalez he's an okay fair sim racer, but you can see they're down in P9 he's down in P9 at the moment. So there's faster guys on faster teams, so it'll be really, really hard for him to compete with that. So just keep the car on track. I think that's going to be the key thing for everyone that's not kind of seated in the top 3. Is going to be really, 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 really important for them to just keep the car on track.
I think a podium's very achievable for them personally.
Yeah.
I think that's well, I don't know what their targets actually are for this race, but no, I think a podium's certainly achievable.
We could have an interview. I know we do have the green room and everything. So if they want to talk, that's also one of the things that this open practice or official practice session is good for, is for people to pop by and chat.
Yeah, it'd be good to have somebody in for an interview, or a few people in. So, if you want to, you can pop yourself in the green room on the TeamSpeak server, and we'll bring you in for a chat about this weekend. Yeah, so hopefully we do get at least somebody in by the end of the night. Nick's informing me that Fair Racing Team knew from far out that they weren't going to be doing this one. So those 3 drivers that I mentioned who wanted to race in this race are going to be running with Rookie Monsters for this one. But it's by no means a driver transfer or anything. Those guys, I don't believe, are affiliated with that team, or they're not going to be part of that team for an extended period of time, to my knowledge. But just for this race, they decided to get in there. And it's good to see the Rookie Monsters guys in the field with some new drivers as well. We've seen Robert Pone in the past as well. He's been driving for Juices in the past, hasn't he? I'm pretty sure. I seem to remember. Anyway, and Santu Enqvist is not a driver I've heard before, but I'm sure he's quick. He wouldn't have got on that kind of team if he wasn't quick. We know what kind of thing to expect from him. But it's a Corvette for them. Now, I could be very wrong with this, but have we ever seen a Corvette race at the Nürburgring in real life? I can't recall a Corvette racing there at all, but it's good to have them at least on the circuit virtually this weekend, if indeed that is true.
Just made aware that we're having some very annoying audio issues. PC that's currently on the scene, and this is sadly the only PC that's fully up and running. All the others are having various other issues. We either don't have driver names, or some of them we just straight up don't have picture from anymore for some reason. So it's sad, but you're gonna have to live with the. Now that's a whole bunch of
yes.
Rookie Monsters cars.
Yeah, they've all connected together, haven't they?
Three of them on top of each other.
Yeah, absolutely.
This looks more like a marketing stunt than anything else, doesn't it?
Well, since we're talking about them, it's good to have them all on the screen, and yeah, that's
It's
what they're
easier
doing at
that
the
way.
moment. Yeah, well, exactly. Flying in formation at the moment, going towards the Hudson back, which is the first section of the Nordschleife, where things do start to get a little bit technical, a little bit slower as well, as they weave their way around here, and then they get out through Holscheiten and out to the faster part of the racetrack, really, up to Flugplatz and over towards Arenberg as well, where they do take a switch back on themselves. But this is the real fast part of the racetrack, isn't it? Very,
This
very
is
scary as well.
Flugplatz here. That's one of the most dangerous corners on track. But there's a corner that's even more dangerous where he's coming down now, because the speed on the approach is a lot higher, but the corner still it still has the same thing. It's called Swedenkreuz, and it's really dangerous. He's coming up over the brow now. You don't really see it that much on from this view, but actually the car all the way through the left turn, it's coming up on top of a crest, so the car's unloaded all the time on top of that. So if you don't have your balance on the car, both like suspension wise and aerodynamic wise, if you don't have that balanced out when the car is unloaded, it's going to start to either oversteer or understeer coming across that brow. Understeer a lot more manageable, but you can't brake that hard when the car's unloaded, so it's still a little bit dangerous. But having oversteer coming over that crest, that is a potential life-ending issue if you don't take care of it. Not in sim racing, of course, but I can attest to that. That is in real life also a very, very, very scary corner. Like, it doesn't matter what car you're driving, it's still scary to go full.
I guess it's made worse by the fact it's a downhill entry, isn't it? Before you just plunge uphill towards that kind of crest.
But you hit the bottom.
Yeah.
Of the turn, and then you sort of have to, from there on, there's a lot of compression, so you can use that compression to do the braking before you enter the left turn. But if you don't get it right and don't brake the right amount during that compression, you're sold.
Yes, that's it. It only takes that one kind of small mistake.
Yeah.
Throughout here, and you've got to go through that over 100 times throughout this race, which is going to be very, very tricky for everybody. But yeah, we're just continuing as they go he goes towards Bergwerk at the moment, the driver at the moment for Rookie Monsters, going through the right-hander and then up the hill. This is actually a little bit steeper than you see on the cameras. When you're in real life, it is a proper climb, going up towards the left-hander right at the top, or this long left-hander Kesselchen, as they go through here. And it does get a little bit more tricky up right to the top. He's past Kestelsen now, but this is the left-hander which has claimed a few cars in the past in the 24 hours of real life and VLM races, I've no doubt. Here it is. Going through there, make sure you don't clip that grass on the outside. It can spin you into the wall on the left as he goes towards this hairpin right now. And then we get to the most famous corner in all of the Nürburgring, arguably. It's not the most challenging. It is unique, certainly, and a little bit tricky in certain ways. Very, very bumpy, I have to say. But this is the carousel going through as we got this lovely camera shot from the middle of that corner. And you can just see the cars in and out as quick as you like, straight back out up towards the highest point on the circuit at Hoerax. This is the left-right chicane at the top of the hill, and you're going to crest a little bit of a rise just here right now, and that's the highest point on all the circuit. Then we plunge right downhill, and it does get very, very tricky at Wipperman, Brunchen, YouTube corner just after that, where you see all the famous Nürburgring YouTube videos and so on from that particular corner, from the tourist days and so on. But it's almost like a rally stage, the crests and the different turns and the proximity of the barriers. It's really these race cars almost not designed for this kind of thing. But here's YouTube corner just after Bergwerk, which is very, very Brunchen, sorry, not Bergwerk. That was a long time ago. Here's the Franzgarten though, going down towards the bottom of the hill. And you do get some airtime here as they jump down. There it is. There's the airtime from the Corvette as they go uphill again through the right-hander. Then it's another left going towards the Kleiner carousel right now. This is Schrabenschwanz, actually, by the way. The fast sweepers towards the end of the lap, heading towards the Kleiner Carousel. And yeah, this is my favourite part of the circuit, actually. Just after you jump downhill at Flansgarten, you go through Schrabenschanze, and it's a drop downhill, a sweep on the flat when you get down to the bottom. And yeah, it's quite wonderful. Up towards the final real corner, before we get to the long straight, is Garbenkopf, where you turn in early, hit that apex, you drift out wide for a second by the cherry for a much more sweeping second part to the corner, and you go on, out onto the Dossingerhout. This is where the passes are going to happen. Big slipstream down here. Lots of time on this straight, which means lots of time for slipstream to take place. And then you go into the fearsome Tiergarten, which is also one of my favourite parts of the racetrack. Very, very exciting. Downhill again, and there's a bit of a bump at the bottom as well. Quite bumpy through the actual corners. So you just see, just on turning for that left-hander there, the car jolts slightly, and you just got to try and collect it all up, and out of the Tiergarten he goes, and over the line again. That's a lap of the Nürburgring on with the Corvette. Hopefully after the next commercial break we'll be able to get one on board with one of these cars. I'd love to get a view on board as to what this circuit is really like. Give you all an idea really at home as to what it is actually like, because it's something that really does have to be seen to be believed, really.
I just saw the Mugen Sim racing car jump, didn't I?
Not entirely sure, really.
Because
wasn't watching.
They're in pole now.
Oh right, yeah.
By 1.1 second actually. No, 1.1 second isn't a lot when the track is 22 point something kilometers, and I think that's even without the Grand Prix track. So we're up to 20 something. 1.1 second isn't really a lot, but still. And it's the Mugen Sim racing guys, and Sultan isn't the only fast driver in that car. But yeah, I don't know if we have to change our. Can I change my bets now, please?
Well, yeah. To be honest, if you keep going off at fastest practice time, we're just going to be changing all the time, because it's just going to change at the front all of the time, really. The fastest times are going to keep coming in, and we're going to keep changing our minds. But yeah, Zoltan Varkini is one of their fast drivers. Adam Sorej is also, I think, even faster. But Martin Militai is also there. He's very, very quick indeed. And Zoltan Toth as well is the fourth driver in that team. That's the number 2 car, by the way, for Mugen Sim Racing. They're driving a McLaren. In the number 3, they've got an Audi on this occasion. Cabor Hevesi is driving alongside Christopher Kierneck and David Koloksai also there, as well as Gug Balau, who's another driver for Mugen Sim Racing. So those 4 drivers are very quick. We definitely know about Hevesi, Kierneck, Koloksai. They're all very, very quick indeed. So they'll be good ones to watch throughout the race. And the other Mugen Sim Racing car, I believe there's one more, or is there not? No, there isn't. I thought there was 3 for some reason. Don't know why.
There were, but
okay.
Then there was an incident involving physical injury. So yeah. The drivers have been changed around as well. I do not know if the spotter guide is updated with the correct driver names yet. Yeah, because the changes came in, I think, middle of this week. So yesterday or the day before. I don't know if it's updated. No, it wouldn't be. It would still show the wrong drivers on one car, but all of their drivers have been shuffled around.
Yeah, well, they're both going to be very strong cars. We know that much. And yeah, I guess some people will be going for those guys for the race. I think the McLaren team are going to do better purely because they just know that car. And the Audi, maybe they won't be as quite good with it, although it could be stronger around the Nürburgring compared with the McLaren, so you just never know really as to what cars are going to be strong around here. I think that's something that will be worth discussing in a few moments' time as well, and we'll kind of get into which cars we think are going to be strongest in a few moments' time. But we've just got over half an hour to go here in official practice right now, and of course these guys still going around. We'll get a look at a few more teams, and we'll have a bit of a discussion on the cars here in a few moments' time as well. But now with half an hour to go, I think it's time to take another quick commercial break, our final one here tonight. So make sure you stay with us. We'll be back in a few moments' time with the final half an hour of practice for the 24 Hours of Nürburgring 2021.
The GTR 24H Nürburgring 24 Hours is presented in partnership with Viper Gaming by Patriot, Leap Gaming, ESTV, and AMD Ryzen Radeon.
A 1v2 for the tournament. Pressure is on.
Racing for Green is here to help you carbon neutralize your racing. By planting new trees, Racing for Green offers to make your racing carbon neutral. We already have the calculations, contacts, infrastructure, deals and solutions ready for you to easily buy carbon neutral laps on any racetrack. It doesn't matter if you are a racing fan, team owner, driver, sponsor or partner. Anyone can buy CO2 neutral laps in the Racing for Green webshop and trade CO2 emissions for New Forest. Racing for Green.
A 1v2 for the tournament. Pressure is on.
Racing for Green is here to help you carbon neutralize your racing. By planting new trees, Racing for Green offers to make your racing carbon neutral. We already have the calculations, contacts, infrastructure, deals and solutions ready for you to easily buy carbon neutral laps on any racetrack. It doesn't matter if you are a racing fan, team owner, driver, sponsor or partner. Anyone can buy CO2 neutral laps in the Racing for Green webshop and trade CO2 emissions for New Forest. Racing for Green. Racing for Green is here to help you carbon neutralize your racing. By planting new trees, Racing for Green offers to make your racing carbon neutral. We already have the calculations, contacts, infrastructure, deals and solutions ready for you to easily buy carbon neutral laps on any racetrack. It doesn't matter if you are a racing fan, team owner, driver, sponsor or partner. Anyone can buy CO2 neutral laps in the Racing for Green webshop and trade CO2 emissions for New Forest. Racing for Green.
A 1v2 for the tournament. Pressure is on.
Racing for Green is here to help you carbon neutralize your racing. By planting new trees, Racing for Green offers to make your racing carbon neutral. We already have the calculations, contacts, infrastructure, deals and solutions ready for you to easily buy carbon neutral laps on any racetrack. It doesn't matter if you are a racing fan, team owner, driver, sponsor or partner. Anyone can buy CO2 neutral laps in the Racing for Green webshop and trade CO2 emissions for New Forest. Racing for Green.
A 1v2 for the tournament. Pressure is on.
There we are. Had to brute force it out of this weird commercials thing that it went into. I don't know when it started or how much I did talk about, going down there to watch the 24-hour race and where it was good. The good spectator places. We were talking about Flansgarden. Don't go to Brunchen. Brunchen has a reputation for being a good corner to watch the race, and that's why everybody tries to go down there. So the campsites just around Brunchen is impossible to get a good place. There'll be so many places, so many people standing down there that often during the starting parts of the race and the finishing parts of the race, it will be impossible to even get a place to stand and sort of see the track. So I wouldn't really recommend that. If you go to Brunchen, start walking along the track backwards instead and going up the hill up towards Hoeracht. You can also find up there a funny place called Steilstrecke. Steilstrecke was a place, like sort of a shortcut that was built to kind of have people avoid doing the Caraccioli carousel. So you can go straight up that, and I think it's about 40 degrees inclined or something like that. It's really hard just to walk up it is a challenge.
Yeah, I seem to remember them talking about that actually, but I thought it was straight on from that. Oh no, I see what you mean now. Yeah, so it kind of is. Yeah. But Hoeracht is the highest place on the circuit, isn't it? And so I can imagine to get up there, you do kind of need a very steep road, and their cars don't go over that this weekend, of course. But no, I did know about that. That's one of the few things I did know about.
It was. Yeah. I think it was put in because at some point parts of the track was sort of, they didn't race the entire track, so they kind of had some parts of the track as hill climb races, and I think that part was part of a hill climb race. I think it's also been used historically in several bicycle races that have also been held on the track. I think it has been used in that as well. Well, there's a Wikipedia post on it, lots of information in there, but definitely a place to go and visit. Just the history of the carousel and how it was kind of how the concrete was put in because Caraccioli started to kind of go down into the ditch at the inside of the corner, so that they slowly started to. The tarmac just slowly progressed down into the ditch, so you're actually driving the side of a ditch around that. Just that story of that alone is worth a read. So much history around this track.
Yeah, we could probably spend the whole 24 hours talking about that, really. But obviously we've got racing to attend to in the practice session right now. By the way, just to bring it all back to the race that we have going on right now, or the qualifying at least that we have going on. Zoltan Varking is still leading the session ahead of Patrick PL and Giuseppe Pastore, both Team Shiba by Musto drivers. Then we've got Chris Gonzalez, Roy Dominique rounding out the top 5, and there's one more team that I would like to talk about. We've already mentioned about the cars. I guess there's one more point to make on that as well, but I'll make that a little bit later on. The final team that I will talk about in this kind of session here tonight is the Satellite Racing team, who are on the starting grid, which is great to see them. They've got 65 and the 64 teams. The 64 has got Yumi Nisula, Henry Cynic and Liam Rance. Now Cynic used to be a Drillers Esports driver, but unfortunately that team has folded recently, so he's moved over, and he's got various other drives going on at the moment. So Henry Cynic is driving for Satellite this weekend. And then in the other car they've got Ryan Nash, Tom Capusta and Nello Pastorino, who I'm currently watching in 7th place at the moment. He is just 3.7 seconds off of the pace set by Varking at the moment. So a couple of strong teams for Satellite there, and they're a very steady team. I think they're going to do very well this weekend.
Experiences definitely,
yes.
With them, definitely. I think that goes for all the drivers in the Satellite Racing cars. I think it's the first time that Nello Pastorino has been racing us. I haven't seen him in a lineup at GTR 24H before.
No, neither have I.
Around here.
Satellite Racing, by the way, were established in 2007, so they are very experienced indeed.
I know them from when they participated the first time in the GTR 24H Le Mans race. That's a long time ago.
Yes, you're making people feel quite old, or some people definitely.
I even felt young then. I don't feel young anymore. Look at my grey beard.
Yes, it's certainly a fair time ago now, and of course 2007 was when ETR was first kind of established as an entity as well. Yeah, a very special year for a couple of reasons in that one. But yeah, Satellite Racing 64 and 65. We saw Newman Yitter actually was out here a little bit earlier on.
Whoa.
What's happened?
Was that the DIS car? I see. Yeah, it was. Had a spin, went around, went backwards.
Oh God!
The escape button now. So we're talking about this team and talking about consistency.
Well, yeah.
You know.
And that's not the first time I've seen that from them tonight, I have to say. That's at least the second spin that I've seen. They had one a little bit earlier on. I can't quite remember where it was. I think it was at Versiphon, sorry, just before Versiphon. They had a spin there. And there are no small accidents around here, really. So, yeah, going to need to get their accidents out of the way now and clean that up a little bit for the race.
Better now than during qualifying or during the race, because having these kind of issues during qualifying as well could end up setting you back 2 or 3 places, and with the track being as narrow as it is, that's not a place where you want to be held up for 2 or 3 entire laps around the track, because you're caught behind someone that your driver's really actually faster than the guys ahead. There's a very, very bad situation around here. So yeah, you want to get that qualifying lap times in there. And there's something about the qualifying lap times and the strategy of having your fast driver set the qualifying times and then perhaps not having your fastest driver start the race. So I'm not entirely sure that having the fastest driver start the race is a good tactic. Or maybe having not the fastest guy and kind of keep him in reserve for later in the race might be a good tactic. Something that used if you have the faster guy in the car and stuff happens, that's kind of taken time out of your maximum potential, if you get what I mean. It's better to have a more clear road and have the race develop a bit before you put the guy in the car that can really ring out those lap times, because he might not be able to at the beginning of the race.
Yeah, with all the traffic that's going on.
Yeah.
I think, to be honest, the best idea is to start the car, the most steady, the most consistent driver, just to get you through those opening laps. It can be quite chaotic around here, and a small accident can happen very, very easily. Yeah, everyone's kind of fresh at that point, and we don't often see big pile-ups at the start of Nürburgring races, but I think certainly having the most steady and consistent driver, the most likely driver to get you through the first few laps of the race, is probably sensible to put them in. And yeah, you're absolutely right. Keeping your fastest driver back for when there's a little bit more clear air to use it is going to be very, very important as well. But it can be difficult to overtake around here. There's a long straight at the Dottinger Ho, of course, but we've seen last year especially, it's difficult to pass at a lot of these sections of the track. So, even if you are a little bit of a slower driver defending from a faster one, it can you can defend in multiple places around here. It can be difficult when you get onto the long straight, but you can hold them back for a good 5 minutes while you're out the back of the circuit.
Yeah, and it's a funny thing, because if you have two drivers that really have respect for each other, there's really not many places that you can't potentially have two cars side by side. And that's the weird thing. It's very narrow, but if people have the proper respect, there's a lot of places that you can actually start an overtaking if the other guy doesn't squeeze you out. So you can. It's a weird thing, because potentially you can overtake everywhere, and potentially you can overtake nowhere. If the other guy is aggressive enough, it starts to get really dangerous really quickly.
Yeah, absolutely. Hopefully we don't see too much of that, but it is bound to happen at some point. But you're right, it can be a great place for racing at the same time. But out front at the moment was just to have one more run through the times as things stand. We've got a fair amount of people on the server right now, but the times as they stand, Zoltan Barking is still leading with an 8 minutes 8 minute 2.0 is what I was trying to say there. Patrick Peel is second, 1.2 seconds off the pace, and Giuseppe Pastore is third. They're both Team Shiba by Musto racing cars. Nicola Pastore is only sixth place for that team. And I can't say that I've ever heard of any of those three drivers, but they've shown themselves to be very, very quick, at least with one lap pace. And Nicola Pastore is still going quickly, because his last lap was the best so far for that car. So 3 drivers within the top 6, that's kind of what you need, really, instead of one really fast driver and other people who are kind of mediocre. They've got 3 drivers very, very close on pace.
Yeah. There was a story about the Team Shiba by Musto. Those are actually some of the Musto GT eSport drivers, but I think too many of the drivers had other things to do, so they kind of had to mash stuff together with another team. So that's why it's Team Shiba by Musto. So it's a mix. It's a mix of drivers. But yeah, certainly very impressive to 2 guys on the podium, even in practice, with some very respectable times as well. I know everything below 8:05 or 8:05 times is really, really hard to come by. So everybody faster than that is certainly in the sort of alien territory. And there's a lot of those guys at the moment. So yeah. I'm really starting to look forward to this race. But my fears have always been, since we had to kind of cut it down and not have the proper big real 4-class full-on race, and we did have to scale it down to a single-class race. My biggest fear was that we wouldn't see these kind of battles, and it would all be over inside the first 2 hours, and then it would just be somebody managing the lead and cruising. I can see from the times now that is not going to happen.
Probably not, no. Of course, there's a lot of teams who aren't here but may, be there as well in the race. Yeah. So You know, it's going to be a very open race indeed, and we are looking forward to it. We've got a couple of minutes to go in practice at the moment. Mugen Sim Racing are currently leading, but I guess it's time with qualifying around the corner, and now that we have a few minutes spare before the end of practice, Peter, to kind of make a prediction for the race and what it's going to be. You've already said that it's going to be a close one, and we kind of we're expecting a close race. We're expecting a good race, but you know, they're not obviously surprises really, considering that it's GTR 24H race, so it is going to be good. But who do you think is going to come out on top in the end? There's many teams to choose from. There's a lot of teams up towards the front. You've got some very, very close times coming in. So who do you think is going to win overall? What's your prediction?
I'm still gonna go with either Burst Esport or the 717 Unison Racing guys, and then with the 45 SimLab as the outsider.
Some people might not allow you as 45 with an outsider, so they think they're a main kind of favourite really. But no, I'll let you have that one. Certainly some good picks to kind of go over. The team I'm really looking forward to seeing how they get on is Satellite Racing in this one. I think personally, they are my prediction for the race win here today, or here this weekend, should I say? Very, very experienced team, as we mentioned. They've been around for a very long time. They know what to do around in the endurance game. They're very, very consistent, and I think this race is all about consistency. It's all about keeping it out the wall. Burst Esport were pretty much the only team last year to not have any issues, and even then they did have some issues. If you remember, when in the early morning, I can't quite remember what happened. It was a wheel issue for somebody, which meant that they lost a lot of their lead. They were leading by a very, very long way. In the end, it came down to less than a lap, which was significantly less than what it was before. So it shows that anything that can happen. I think getting to the end with no issues at all is going to be very, very important, and I think the most likely team to be able to do that is Satellite Racing. Whether it's going to be the 64 or the 65 is kind of up for debate. I think the 64 will be slightly stronger. I think it's meant to be that way, but I'm not entirely sure. I'm just kind of guessing at this point. But yeah, Satellite Racing is my pick for the race. But we're certainly massively looking forward to it, and there's going to be loads of teams up there. It's going to be very, very exciting.
I'm really looking forward to seeing Alex Goldsmiths and just on this as well. I know Yusuf has a very different opinion, but I think we, to some degree, some kind of understanding. It's kind of like the same cars. I could Satellite guys as well, but I just don't have the experience. But I know it's going to pick very different guys. It's not going to be the same as you and I.
We all look at it in a different way, don't we? But that's what's great about it, really. We've got a lot of different things to kind of look at, really. But final few times are coming in. Nello Pastoriano, by the way, has just come over the line, and he's done an 8-minute 4.2, jumped up to 4th place right at the very end there, and we've got a few more times that are going to come in. Patrick PL is coming up towards the Tiergarten at the moment. He is on the Dottinger Ho. At the moment it's a McLaren 123 with Corvette in 4 and 5. Roy de Munich is in 6th for the moment for the BMW team. But let's see what Patrick PL can do here as he comes up towards the Tiergarten. Is this going to be a slightly better time here in practice to give himself a little bit of bragging rights over Mugen Sim Racing? Team Shiba Biomaster have been winning or leading this session for a very long time, but finally now it's decided that Mugen should be at the front, but PL coming over the line right now. What lap time is this going to be? Is it going to be any improvement on the lap time before? I don't believe that it is, so I think that
he had a cut track because it didn't register.
It looks like it. Looks like that is going to be the case. Before we end off here tonight, we'll get to one more look at Zoltan Varkingi. It looks like he's going to top practice as Roger Munning goes up into 4th place for Juice's Motorsport Club.
Oh, did you see how the car jumped and went down into the compression into the corner? That was awesome.
Certainly a lot of skill on show right now for these guys. with the end of the practice session. Really
He's on a fast.
quickly.
He's on a fast lap now.
Yeah.
I think he's in with the potential of putting up a new best time.
Oh, not like that. Oh, down to the grass, over the jump, and it's going to be a spin. Amazingly, he's just about to not hit a wall there, but that just about denies us a better lap time right at the end. Could have been an 8-minute one.
Does my instant replay button work for that?
Have a look.
Apparently not. Apparently not. I'm going to have to work on the instant replay button.
Yes.
So,
we'll have to.
lots of things that we need to fix for tomorrow, because I want to be able to
Yes.
kind of do the replays and post them on Twitter when something interesting happens on track as well. So look out for that, because we have this all kind of set up and automated.
Yeah.
We're pushing out all the news and everything going on track. I am also going to say to all the teams and everyone listening in, I hope more of you will be joining the green room and looking for interviews. I know we haven't had tonight the best kind of keeping an eye on what's been going on, just mainly because I have to have a lot of talk here with John as well about all the stuff and take notes and everything on stuff that doesn't work and try to combat all the issues that came from the entire studio. But it had to be done at some point, and we had to be two people at least present here in order to be able to do it. So we didn't have a lot of time from Wednesday evening until now to move all of this stuff and set up. What is it? 1, 2, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 or 12 PCs was moved, set up, wired. Yeah, everything.
Big operation.
Yeah, it really was.
But yeah, and hopefully the audio will be a little bit smoother as well, because I know some people have been mentioning the crackling. Yeah, that should be gone next tomorrow when we'll be back for qualifying. But that just about does it for practice. Thanks to everybody who's joined us here tonight, and we'll iron out some issues, ready to go again tomorrow, 8 p.m. CET for qualifying 1, and the stream will go on for about 4.5 hours before the practice session, and I hope that you will join us then for qualifying for the Nürburgring 24 hours. That is just about it from us though for the moment. Make sure you join us tomorrow, and we'll see you there
in about 20.5 hours. Yeah. See you then. Bye bye.
All right.
The GTR 24H Nürburgring 24 Hours is presented in partnership with Viper Gaming by Patriot, Leap Gaming, ESTV, and AMD Ryzen Radeon.
Racing for Green is here to help you carbon neutralize your racing. By planting new trees, Racing for Green offers to make your racing carbon neutral. We already have the calculations, contacts, infrastructure, deals and solutions ready for you to easily buy carbon neutral laps on any racetrack. It doesn't matter if you are a racing fan, team owner, driver, sponsor or partner. Anyone can buy CO2 neutral laps in the Racing for Green webshop and trade CO2 emissions for New Forest. Racing for Green.
A 1v2 for the tournament. Pressure is on.